Okay, picture this. You're in an emergency room. It's chaos, lights, noise, the constant beeping.
Yeah. Stressful.
Totally.
Yeah.
And the doctor's looking at your scans, looking worried, then glances at this AI analysis on a screen. And like 10 seconds later, the AI says, surgery. 92% certain. The doctor nods, agrees, you make it through.
Right.
So, who saved you? The doctor or the machine?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? And it's not hypothetical anymore.
No, not at all.
AI is already deep in these big decisions, like hiring, loans, even parole decisions in some places.
Right, and it's moving into even bigger stuff, more critical areas.
Exactly. So this deep dive, it isn't really about if AI can make decisions. Clearly it can, and it is.
Yeah, that ship has sailed.
It really has. The real question is, should we be handing over this kind of judgment? Judgment that used to be purely human.
Can it grasp context? Can it handle, well, the human stuff?
Yeah.
Morality, compassion.
That's what we need to explore. Our goal today is really to get a handle on where AI decision-making is right now, where it might be heading, and crucially, how we stay in control of our own choices as things get more automated.
All right. So, maybe we should start with us. How do humans even make decisions before we get to the computers?
Big starting point, because honestly, it's messy.
Huh. Understatement.
It really is. It's emotional and sometimes, frankly, pretty irrational.
We like to think we're logical, though. Pros and cons lists.
Oh, sure, logic plays a part. We analyze things. But then you've got emotion, intuition, that gut feeling.
Yeah, that often shouts louder than the data, doesn't it?
It really can. And it's not just feelings. Our biases, our past experiences, maybe even just being hungry.
Yeah.
It all feeds in. These mental shortcuts, heuristics, they steer us, sometimes off course.
We're sort of walking bundles of these things.
We are. And then there's the moral compass, right? Weighing right versus wrong. Often not logically either.
It's values, ethics,
Yeah.
stuff that's hard to pin down.
Exactly. There's that great quote from Antonio Damasio, the neuroscientist. He said, "We are not thinking machines that feel, we are feeling machines that think."
I like that. It flips the script. We feel first, then think.
Pretty much sums it up. Now contrast that with AI.
Right. Totally different ballgame.
Completely. No emotion, no hesitation, no second thoughts, just calculation at incredible speed.
It's that data in, prediction out model. Feed it data, it finds patterns, spits out an answer.
Precisely. All based on probabilities and correlations in massive data sets.
But no real understanding, no contact.
Not inherently, no. And no built-in moral compass unless humans try to program one in, which is, well, really hard.
So it's just focused on the goal, optimizing for whatever outcome it's told to achieve.
Yeah, goal-oriented is a good way to put it. Not necessarily focused on ethics unless that's part of the explicit goal.
Okay. And you mentioned something, the black box effect. That sounds a bit ominous.
It can be. It means that sometimes even the people who built the AI can't fully trace why it made a specific decision.
Wait, really? Even the developers?
With complex deep learning models, yes. The pathway through the neural network can be incredibly intricate, almost impossible to fully reverse engineer for a specific output.
So it just decides. And we don't always know why.
Essentially, yes. Think about a hiring algorithm. It might reject someone who looks great on paper.
Okay.
And the real reason might be some weird pattern it picked up from biased historical hiring data. Something subtle, maybe even discriminatory, that it learned was associated with unsuccessful hires in the past.
Without anyone realizing that's the reason.
Exactly. Hidden bias, baked right in.
Okay, maybe we should pause and just compare them side by side. Human versus machine.
Good idea. Let's break it down. Emotion. Core for humans, zero for AI.
Right.
Bias. Humans have it, often subconscious. AI has it too, but it comes directly from the data it learned from.
Got it. Data-driven bias.
Learning. Humans are slow, experiential. AI. Super fast, learns from huge data sets.
Moral reasoning.
For us, it's intuitive, value-based. For AI, only if it's explicitly programmed in.
And transparency.
Humans can sometimes explain their reasoning, though not always perfectly. AI is often that black box opaque.
So looking at that list, AI might seem better on paper in some ways. Faster, less emotional.
It can look that way, but real-world decisions. They need meaning, responsibility, empathy, things that aren't really on that AI checklist.
Right, that complicates the picture quite a bit.
Absolutely. And this isn't just theory. AI replacing human decision makers, it's happening right now.
Yeah, it's not science fiction anymore. Let's talk specifics. Healthcare.
Huge area. AI is getting incredibly good at reading scans, spotting cancer, pneumonia, eye diseases like diabetic retinopathy.
Better than doctors sometimes.
In some specific diagnostic tasks, yes. Google's DeepMind AI, for instance, diagnosed over 50 eye conditions more accurately than top specialists in trials.
Wow. But what if it's wrong? Who's responsible then?
Exactly the problem. The algorithm, the doctor who used it, the company that made it, the hospital. It gets very murky legally and ethically.
Yeah, I can see that. What about finance?
Oh, it's massive there. High-frequency trading, mostly AI now, making split-second buy-sell decisions based on analyzing news, markets, social media, faster than any human could react.
Right. Billions decided in milliseconds.
Pretty much. And it's not just trading. Getting a loan. Your creditworthiness might be assessed entirely by an AI, no human review.
Just an algorithm saying yes or no.
Often, yeah. Based on patterns in your data compared to millions of others. Speed and scale are the drivers there.
Okay, and the justice system. That feels particularly sensitive.
Extremely. Tools like Compass are used in some U.S. states to predict the likelihood of someone reoffending. Judges use these scores to help decide on bail, sometimes even sentencing.
Are those scores fair? I've heard about bias issues there.
There have been significant studies suggesting potential racial bias in some of these risk assessment tools, reflecting biases present in historical crime data.
So a machine, potentially with baked-in bias, is influencing someone's freedom.
That's the critical concern judges and policymakers are grappling with. How much weight do you give these tools?
Man. Okay, hiring too, you mentioned.
Yep, AI screening resumes, ranking candidates based on keywords, skills, even analyzing video interviews for things like tone or facial expressions.
Video interviews.
What?
Seriously.
It's happening. But again, the bias issue is huge. If the AI is trained on past hiring data, and that data reflects historical discrimination.
It just learns to repeat it.
Precisely. Amazon famously had to scrap a hiring AI because it learned to penalize resumes containing the word women's, like women's chess club captain.
Because historically, fewer women were hired in tech roles. So the AI saw it as a negative pattern.
Exactly. It learned the bias from the data.
Okay, this is getting heavier. What about warfare?
Yeah, that's maybe the most ethically fraught area. AI is already used in drones for surveillance, target recognition.
But the next step is autonomous weapons.
Lethal autonomous weapons systems, or laws. Machines that could potentially identify, select, and engage targets without direct human approval in the moment.
So AI deciding who lives and who dies.
That's the terrifying prospect. The ethical nightmare is obvious. What if it makes a mistake? Who is accountable when a machine kills the wrong person? There's no undo button.
Unbelievable. And it's not just these huge, dramatic examples, is it? It's creeping into everyday life, too.
Oh, absolutely. Think about your social media feeds, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram.
The algorithm deciding what I see next.
Exactly. It's learning what keeps you watching, what you click on, what you like. It's shaping your attention, and attention is the gateway to influence, right?
So it's influencing my opinions, what I buy, maybe even how I feel.
It's certainly steering you. It optimizes for engagement, not necessarily for your well-being or providing a balanced view.
So yeah, the answer to how much has AI taken over seems to be quite a lot already.
It really has, which forces us to ask,
Yeah.
where do we draw the line? Or can we even draw one anymore?
Okay, but let's flip this for a second. There's obviously fear here, but are there actual advantages? Is AI sometimes better?
Yes, absolutely. We shouldn't dismiss the benefits. It's not just fear-mongering. AI often is faster and in some cases more accurate.
Like the speed and scale thing.
Yeah.
Humans just can't compete there.
Not even close. AI can sift through millions of data points in seconds. Imagine that in an ER, again, scanning global medical databases for rare symptoms instantly. Maybe predicting a heart attack hours before it happens based on subtle EKG changes.
That could definitely save lives.
For sure. And then there's accuracy from objectivity. Humans have bad days, we get tired, we have biases we don't even know about.
AI doesn't get tired.
Nope. And if trained on good, comprehensive data, it can be ruthlessly objective, sticking purely to the evidence. Think about weather forecasting AI models have drastically improved accuracy.
Right, which helps with planning for storms, agriculture, all sorts of things.
Exactly. Better data, better decisions, and no emotional baggage. AI isn't stressed or angry or playing favorites.
So in theory, it could judge job candidates purely on merit.
In theory, yes. If, and it's a big If the training data is unbiased and the criteria are fair, the potential for fairness is there, but it requires careful implementation.
And consistency too, right? Humans vary.
Totally. And AI judging loan applications or inspecting factory parts will apply the exact same logic every single time, 24/7. That leads to reliability, fewer mistakes.
Okay, those are some compelling points and bigger picture. Global problems.
Huge potential there. Climate change modeling, predicting pandemic spread, optimizing global food distribution, managing resources. These are planetary scale problems with immense complexity.
Too complex for humans alone.
Often, yes. AI's ability to process that scale of data could be transformative. And often the best model right now isn't replacement, it's augmentation.
Like the surgeon using AI guidance you mentioned earlier.
Exactly. AI as a co-pilot, an advisor, enhancing human skills, that seems to be the sweet spot in many fields currently.
So incredible potential. But the scale of errors, when they happen, could also be huge.
That's the flip side. The potential benefits are enormous, but we can't afford blind trust. Which brings us squarely to the cons and the ethical headaches.
Right. The darker side, AI doesn't really get what it means to be human, does it?
Not in any deep sense. And decisions made without empathy, without real ethical grounding, without accountability. That's where the danger lies.
Let's talk about that hidden bias again.
It's insidious. AI learns from our data, warts and all. So if our past data reflects societal biases, sexism, racism, ageism, the AI learns those biases too, silently.
And applies them confidently.
Confidently and often invisibly. It's not like the AI announces, I'm rejecting this person because of their gender. It just finds statistical correlations.
Yeah.
It's like that saying, garbage in, garbage out. But when AI outputs garbage, it's in a suit and sounds confident.
Oof, yeah. And the black box problem makes it worse.
Much worse. If an AI denies you a loan or flags you as high risk for insurance and nobody can explain exactly why, how do you appeal? How do you fix the system if you don't know what's broken?
Especially when real lives are on the line.
Exactly. You need answers, and the black box often doesn't provide them. Then there's accountability.
Who takes the blame when the self-driving car crashes? Or the medical AI misdiagnoses?
Who indeed? The programmer, the company, the user, the AI itself. Machines don't feel regret. They don't face consequences in the human sense, but real people suffer the consequences of their mistakes.
There's no sense of responsibility there.
None intrinsically. And AI lacks that human context, that common sense understanding of the world. It sees patterns, but not meaning.
So it might flag someone as high risk based on their zip code or age, missing the nuances of their actual life.
Precisely. It can lead to cold, detached, and sometimes just plain wrong decisions because it misses the bigger picture, the human story.
And it feels like sometimes these systems are rolled out without us even knowing, like we're part of some giant experiment.
That's a valid concern. Think about social media algorithms tweaking news feeds to see how it affects user mood or behavior sometimes without explicit consent. Are we okay with being experimented on like that? Where's the oversight?
And if we can't opt out, what does that mean for our autonomy?
It's a huge question, and all this leads to a risk of over-reliance, doesn't it? We start outsourcing our thinking, our moral judgment.
Just trusting the machine because it seems so smart and efficient.
Yeah. What happens to human compassion in medicine if AI dictates care pathways based purely on statistics? What happens to critical thinking if we just accept the AI's answer? We risk becoming dehumanized.
Accepting the output without question because the system seems infallible.
Which it isn't. Efficiency isn't wisdom. Decisions about human lives need understanding, empathy, nuance, things machines just don't have.
So there are definite limits here. AI is powerful, but it's not magic.
Far from it. It lacks some fundamental things that make us human.
Like consciousness, self-awareness.
Right. As far as we know, AI doesn't know it exists. It doesn't experience the world subjectively. No sense of self, no feelings like joy or shame or doubt.
It simulates intelligence, but doesn't experience it.
Exactly. And without experience, can it ever truly understand the things it's making decisions about? Like, empathy can maybe recognize sadness in a voice, but it can't feel sad with someone.
It can't truly care.
Nope. So an AI might deny a refugee child entry based on cold criteria. A human might see the desperation and find a reason to bend the rules out of compassion. Ethics sometimes requires breaking logic, which AI isn't built to do.
And that lack of true understanding, it just sees patterns, right?
Yeah, sophisticated pattern recognition. It knows love and heartbreak often appear together in text, but it doesn't understand the feeling. It predicts the next word in a sentence, but it's not truly speaking with meaning.
What about creativity? AI can generate art, music.
It can mimic styles brilliantly. It can combine existing elements in novel ways. But is it creating from an inner drive, from lived experience, from a desire to question or express something deeply personal?
Probably not. It hasn't lived Van Gogh's life, so it can only imitate his brushstrokes.
Exactly. It's imitation, not origination from a place of experience. And critically, no moral responsibility. AI gets technically better, its algorithms refined, but it doesn't learn ethics.
It doesn't feel regret for a bad decision and vow to do better.
No apology, no change in values, no development of compassion. It just gets updated.
Which leads back to trust, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We humans need stories, meaning connection to build trust. AI answers often feel empty.
Would you really trust an AI therapist with your deepest fears? Would you accept a life sentence based purely on an AI score, no human judgment involved?
Probably not. It feels like we lose something vital, that link between decision and conscience, when we automate too much.
We do. There's a risk there. So AI is powerful, yes, a great assistant, maybe a guide, but it can't fully replace us because human decisions often need, well, a soul, a story, a reason, a heart.
Okay, so if full replacement isn't the answer, or even possible, what's the alternative? You mentioned augmentation.
Right. This is where things get more optimistic, I think. The future probably isn't humans versus machines, but humans with machines. Augmented decision-making.
Like that centaur model from chess.
Exactly. The best players weren't unaided humans, and they weren't just supercomputers. They were humans using AI support, centaurs.
Combining the best of both worlds.
Precisely. The human brings context, ethical judgment, creativity, common sense. The AI brings speed, scale, pattern recognition, data analysis. Together, they're stronger than either alone. It's about synergy.
Man with machine.
That's the idea. And we see this happening already. Doctors using AI diagnostic tools as a second opinion, but making the final call.
Right.
Judges using algorithms to surface relevant case law or assess flight risks, but retaining judicial discretion. Pilots flying with sophisticated AI autopilots and weather systems, but always remaining in command.
So the human stays in the loop, stays responsible. The AI is like superpowered intuition.
Superhuman intuition backed by data, yeah. But making this work well requires conscious effort. We can't just let it evolve randomly.
We need rules, ethics, thoughtful design.
Absolutely. We need to build transparency and explainability into these systems as much as possible. We need clear lines of human oversight, especially for high-stakes decisions. We need laws and policies that protect human dignity and rights.
It's not just about making smarter AI.
It's about being wiser humans guiding it. We need that wisdom component.
And this could lead to a new kind of thinking, hybrid thinking.
Potentially, yes.
Huh?
Imagine AI handling the mind-boggling complexity, modeling climate change scenarios, simulating economic impacts, tracking disease outbreaks.
While humans provide the meaning, the values.
Exactly. Humans interpret the simulations, weigh the trade-offs based on our values, fairness, compassion, long-term well-being, and make the ultimate strategic choices. AI handles the what if, humans handle the what should we do.
That actually elevates humanity, doesn't it, instead of replacing us?
I think it could, but the key thing is AI is a tool. A profoundly powerful one, but still a tool. Its future impact hinges entirely on the choices we make now.
Will we build systems that reflect our best selves, our highest values, or ones that just amplify our existing flaws and biases?
That's the choice in front of us. As someone said, technology is not just shaping the future, it's shaping who we become.
Wow. Okay, so wrapping this up, AI probably won't fully replace human decision-making, not the really deep, meaningful kind anyway.
Seems unlikely, given its current limitations.
But it's definitely going to reshape it, profoundly.
No question about that.
Which leaves us, and you listening, with maybe the biggest question. In this world where machines increasingly have a voice, are we ready to lead with wisdom? Are we prepared to guide this technology thoughtfully? Something to really think about. How do you personally navigate this? How do you ensure that in your work, in your life, the human element, judgment, empathy, responsibility stays central, even as these powerful tools become more integrated? What does that future look like for you?